Folks, our guest today is Nate Petroski. Nate is a famous YouTuber and social media sensation here in West Virginia. He has a homestead called NarrowWay Homestead. Nate, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here in the studio with us today.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't introduce Minion, famous Minion.
This is Minion, nicknamed Lord Minion. He's kind of like the ruler of the homestead.
That's awesome. It's great to have you guys here. I'm looking forward to learning more about your story.
Positively West Virginia. Positively West Virginia.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark, West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, and Humble Influence. With the help of these sponsors, we're able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one from today's episode.
So, Nate, let's start right at the top. For our listeners who may not know who you are, tell us about Nate Petroski and NarrowWay Homestead. What is it you're doing?
So basically, I have 100 acres just in the middle of the woods. I got it pretty much with just nothing on it and packed up my whole life, moved it there, and just started building all kinds of stuff from solar power, rainwater collection, all the things you need to actually live in the mountains and do it in a modern, comfortable way.
Yeah.
So I just started building and doing unique things.
That's awesome. Now, just kind of set the stage. You're in Roane County.
That's right.
All right. Whereabouts in Roane County? You don't have to give us the specifics. We don't want to flood the place with tourists or anything, but give us a lay of the land. Like, whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much, it's really kind of hard to say. I think I'm sort of in the center of it. It's been a minute since I looked at a map, but there's not really anything super close to me. I guess the closest big town would be Spencer.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, so this is pretty amazing. I want to get the whole story because I know bits and pieces. I've been a follower of yours since you came onto the scene during the pandemic in 2020. So give us, kind of take us back to like how you got into homesteading. What brought you to West Virginia? Maybe start where you're from.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
No, I'm from Pennsylvania, a town called Hanover, Pennsylvania. I was a contractor there. Mostly did renovation work for people. It was actually really fun, redoing people's entire rooms and some of that kind of thing. Yeah. But eventually it's fun, but I was just building stuff for everybody else. And then my house was, meanwhile, just not making any progress and didn't look that great. And so I kind of wanted to, instead of dedicating so much of my life towards the customers, which is really cool for business, I was like, I want to just do what I want to do. And I kind of wanted to buy land around there until I looked up land prices and land taxes, and then rapidly decided I didn't want to be involved in that. So I just started looking all over the country. I'm like, where do I want to go? And what are the laws? And ultimately, one of the things that attracted me to West Virginia was just the people, because I looked for people that lived pretty close to the way I dreamed of living. Yeah. And I found a lot of people in West Virginia were living a lifestyle like I wanted to live. And I was like, well, why don't I just be surrounded by people that live the way I want to? That sounds like a good plan. It's probably a good place for it.
Wow. So you start looking and you find land in Roane County, West Virginia, 100 acres or so.
100 acres, yeah.
And how did that go? Like, did you just find it and you just went, this is where I'm supposed to be? And how did you make the decision?
It was 10 minutes. I would, every other week, I would take a trip and look at 4 or 5 properties. I mostly checked the western side of West Virginia, and just wherever. Like, I just drove wherever and looked at ones, and eventually, after doing that enough, I walk 5 minutes on a property. I'm like, nope,
it's not going to work.
Not the one for me. Too rocky, too this, elevation changes. And I walked on this one, and I was like, yep. First 10 minutes, that was it. And then I kept walking because you'd want to check it all out. Yeah. The more I walked, the more I said, yep. I had some other ones to look at. I just looked at them over the next day, but all I could do was think about that spot. I was like, that's just the spot.
It was calling your name.
It was.
Nate, come to West Virginia. I love it.
Absolutely.
So the time frame of this, talk about like when all this went down. Here we are recording this April 2026.
Yes.
Take us back to those days.
All the way back, it was probably spring of March, April, May of 2019, just looking for land. Yeah. Found a spot, bought the spot, took a loan against the property, had a loan against my house, rented my house out, had a tenant, in it, and I was renting some other place in the country so I could practice,
No
make
kidding.
sure I'm not like going to be really bad at this or anything. And so I was kind of testing some solar and just some small scale stuff.
Yeah.
Found the property, that was it, and I just began the process of closing my business. I was going to take so many more jobs up until X date, sell my house, pack everything, sell a lot of stuff like refrigerators, microwaves. I'm like, I'm not going to have any use for that stuff.
Everything.
That stuff's got to go.
Wow.
And just began to sell a lot of stuff. I had a really cool K5 Blazer, would have been amazing out here, but I needed money, so I had to sell it. Managed to sell everything and get a plan together to move out. Got a camper, renovated it, and brought that out with me. And just that thing almost got stuck in the driveway. I had to put it in part of a driveway too. I had a contractor build the driveway, the last half of it to get it to a field. Just about got stuck. I was burying the axles in mud as it came up, parked right at the end of the driveway. No one else could go in or out, including me. But I got it here.
Wow.
And yeah, I just woke up. It was March 1st, 2020, and I woke up and I said, I need a storage building because I got a lot of stuff from Pennsylvania to bring with me.
Yeah. Wow. And so March 1st, 2020, that's a couple weeks before the pandemic started closing the entire world down.
It is, yes.
And what was that like during that time?
It was really surreal. It was kind of like, I kind of wanted to tell people, I knew this was coming, guys. I'm so smart. No, it just happened that way. Like, I just happened to move just as everybody was freaking out and starting to close. They were talking about closing state travel.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get this building quick so I get my stuff here.
Yeah.
And then they can close all the roads. That'd be fine.
Amazing. Yeah. Because we didn't, back in those days, we didn't know what was coming. Right?
No.
We didn't know the next day what that was going to hold. So the idea of homesteading, what does that mean to you?
To me, that's a good question because homesteading kind of has a definition all over the place. I like to say that homesteading and farming kind of go hand in hand, but farming is more on the production side, whereas homesteading is geared more towards self-sufficiency, where you only need to grow enough stuff for you, your family, your animals, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it's a little more of a self-sufficient mindset.
A self-sufficient, like you take care of all of your needs right there.
That's right.
on the property. And we're going to talk maybe some about the systems and things that, with solar power and collecting your own water and all those kinds of things. That's amazing. And like I said, I've been watching you since you started back during the pandemic years in 2020, cool. And I've been a fan and have watched. I'd like to come down there for a tour just to see all the stuff like in person. Like it looks cool on video, but I would just love to see it. Like wow,
in person, it's a totally different experience.
So how did you get the idea? Like, hey, I want to be a homesteader.
So I kind of just got the idea because I lived on a 1/10 of an acre in town in a 100-year-old house, and my neighbor's house I measured it one day, it was 8 feet from mine, like it was right there. And I just kind of wanted my own space, and I don't want to worry about who's honking a horn or, is that for me? Is that who's yelling at who? Like I just didn't want any of that. Like it's okay, you can deal with it, but I didn't want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was when the seed was first planted, basically.
It was.
Realizing that you needed some space. Now you got 100 acres of space to do with that as you please. Tell us about the name, NarrowWay Homestead. How did that come to be?
Yeah, it pretty much comes from a biblical scripture verse where narrow is the way.
Yeah.
And that phrase has always just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
And the road I'm on's narrow, the driveway's narrow, like multiple things just kind of fit.
Yeah, the narrow way is the hard way.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case.
Because it is. It's the you got to be living the right life, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I always wondered about that.
That's it.
So you mentioned construction.
Yeah.
And tell us about your background. Did you have education there in Hanover, and what led you to get into the construction field? So
I pretty much ended up right out of high school. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. I did a little bit of like gardening for an older neighbor, and I found I really liked to work with my hands, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah. So basically, a friend of my parents had a construction company, and I was like, sounds good. That's a job, right? I got offered 45 hours a week, and So I just started, all I did was carry 2x4s and this and that and everything else. He was a custom home builder. We made our own trim, we made our own kitchen cabinets, we did our own shingles, we did the footers, every part of a house. And so I worked for him for 9 years.
Wow.
And I got a tremendous education
It's like
from
a doctorate degree in construction right there.
Absolutely, yeah. And so after that 9 years, I started my own company. Found I really like to do the renovation work because I didn't have to plan around the outside weather so much. So I just ended up, I just like to do custom little things. And the next thing you know, I'm doing whole houses like on the inside and wanting to hire people. And it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, yeah. So how long did you have that construction company before you sold it?
Right about 7 years.
7 years. That's a good time to get out, I'd say.
Yeah.
You had a chance to build it, and it was sustainable. It was,
Absolutely. And I had two choices: either scale it really big and get a lot of employees and have crews, but I like to do the work myself, or just keep it small. And I had some friends in the industry. They're 65, 70 years old. They're laying flooring for me on their hands and knees. And I'm like, that's me someday if I just don't change something.
Yeah. And all that construction expertise, knowledge, wisdom that you gained, experience, really helped pave the way for what you're doing now. And we're going to talk about more of that when we come back. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. Here at Interaction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Nate Petroski. He is the founder of NarrowWay Homestead. He is in Roane County, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere on 100 acres doing the homestead lifestyle. And I love it, Nate. Yep. This conversation is awesome so far. I want to continue to talk a little bit about what you're doing right now on the homestead project. What has you fired up right now? What are you excited about?
Right now, I'm pretty fired up about a greenhouse that just got built and a water collection system for it. When I pulled up to your studio, I'm carrying the tank on the trailer because I could get it close to here.
That's awesome. We'll have to take a picture of that and put it on social media for you. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the specifics. Okay. I remember you had the camper on the property. And I think one of the first, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember one of the first things you did was build an outhouse.
That is one of the first things I did.
Talk about like how do you get started with a homestead? You gotta have a bathroom, right?
You do. And for the first probably 2 months, it was a shovel and the ground.
Wow.
If there was going to be an emergency, I would make sure to have a couple holes dug ahead of time. But that was it, and that got old pretty quick. It's snowing on me. It's raining on me. Like it was getting old. So an outhouse was one of the very first buildings to go.
And it was a mighty fine outhouse, as I recall.
It was unique. My neighbor has a sawmill. It's not really like a sawmill company. It just has a sawmill. And I went over and got up all the slab wood and reject boards and dug a hole and put this crazy thing together. I put it a half mile from where I was staying, or a quarter mile, which people thought was crazy. But I put it up fast and kind of quick, and I was like, this will be an outhouse to service the rest of the property later. Yeah. And I'm going to build a really nice one after I get some time, which I did do eventually.
Yeah. So where, what have been some of the big challenges? I mean, we talked about, getting power in the middle of 100 acres in the middle of nowhere in Roane County, getting water, fresh water. How did you build the infrastructure, and what's that look like in terms of like the time and involvement and engineering that has to go into it?
So I mentioned earlier about how I kind of practiced some of these things in a small scale in Pennsylvania before I moved. Well, obviously, as soon as I got there, now it was time to do the large scale. So I put up a storage building in the first 2 weeks to hold all my stuff. That's what I collected rainwater off of. It would have been from March to July when I was both in the rainwater collection system as well as the solar. In the meantime, going down to the creek to do laundry, to get water to filter for drinking, all that kind of thing.
Did that get old?
It got old. It got very old.
So we take, modern conveniences for granted, right?
We do.
Yeah, you turn on a spigot and fresh water comes out, you flip a switch and the lights come on. But building a homestead, you're being completely self-sufficient. So had you had experience with setting up like a solar array or a system like that to deliver electric power?
I pretty much had 2 panels, and I ended up starting out with, I don't even remember what I had, maybe 18 panels or something like that, and much larger panels. Wow. I had done a lot of research and just bought stuff. When I came, I had so much money allocated for the land and so much allocated for projects. And
you had like a budget, basically.
I had a budget for everything. I had a budget for solar, I had a budget for the rainwater system, and I just was putting them together because winter was coming.
That's a real deadline.
It's a real deadline, especially in West Virginia, as I've learned.
Well, I remember too, and I believe it was in the camper. You started with, like, even in the wintertime, that first winter, you had a little wood stove.
I did
in the camper, and you figured out ways to like boil water and cook on that thing and heat your. Talk a little bit about that.
It was just it was a very cheap stove. I even built my own double wall insulated pipe out of rock wool and some ductwork.
It's amazing, yeah.
And put heat shielding around, because campers and fire are 2 things that should not really be together unless you're really careful.
Exactly.
I just that thing in the wintertime, like any homesteader, like in the wintertime, it's the wood stove's the central point.
Yeah. All right, so shifting gears a little bit on you, as it relates to how I learned about you is YouTube.
Yeah.
And you became a standing fixture. I became a subscriber and started watching all this YouTube content. What made you think, was this part of the plan all along? Was like to be a YouTube sensation and have millions of followers on social media? Take us back to that, like how that originated.
It was kind of the plan, but the same way you plan that was the same way at 10 years old I planned to be a baseball star. Like, it's cool to think about, but probably not going to happen. Turns out I'm terrible at baseball, by the way. But you never get anywhere if you don't at least start. And so I had kind of started YouTube before I moved, and after a year of doing it, I got 160 subscribers on the channel, and I was like, this really isn't worth my time. It's really cool because I, like, as a backup plan, just cataloging and saving footage from how I started to how I ended up, I thought would be really valuable for me personally. I kind of almost quit YouTube. I just put it on the back burner, went over to TikTok. I'm like, I can make shorter videos here. And TikTok absolutely exploded. I think within the first 3 weeks, I was up to like 10,000 followers.
Amazing.
Then I had a 48-hour period. Next thing I knew, I was up to 300,000 or something. Like, and my first viral video was, wow, I had some popular videos. I was like, okay, hi, my name is Nate, and I just explained what I was doing, and that one went nuts. I thought it was just me explaining to new people, and instead I woke up the next day and had many new people.
Wow. That's just kind of crazy, right?
It's really crazy.
And you, back in those days, how did you get started? Were you using like a mobile phone, like an iPhone or something?
I didn't even have an iPhone. It was just some old crappy Android phone that, was a little bit outdated. And
that's the best.
I
love that. That's so good. So, talk about how you've parlayed that into, like I said, millions of viewers across all these different platforms, and also, if you can, you don't have to give us all the details, but tell us, like, is this a way that you're sustaining your business now? Is this your business?
Yes. No. Once that happened, I realized that yes, this could be be an income source, and so I just kept putting out consistent content every day and kept anytime I had the chance, added another platform, made sure I had accounts. So I got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Obviously, I went back and revisited YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty exciting. And then, yes, as an income, the views, of course, on most platforms do pay something.
Yeah.
But I discovered I also, in order to really capitalize on it, you have to build businesses, because people are like, how do I support you? And I was like, good question.
Yeah. How did you figure that out?
It really started off with coffee, because that was I went really frugal when I started homesteading, and like I wasn't giving up coffee. Well, I had been roasting coffee for a couple of years, just personally myself.
Yeah.
And so then I'm there roasting coffee on solar power in my crappy little electric roasting machine, where like I've got a Variac hooked up to it, and like at a certain moment you've got to open the door and put a fan on it so the beans cool faster, so you just get a premium coffee out of a machine that's really not designed to make awesome coffee, just okay coffee.
Yeah.
And I started making videos about that, and people were like, we want to buy your coffee.
Wow. You didn't see that coming, I can imagine.
I did not, no.
Yeah. So what was the name of the company for that? Was it under NarrowWay?
It was under NarrowWay Homestead.
NarrowWay Homestead Coffee.
Yes.
All right. And so is that still going?
It is still going. As far as me personally roasting all the coffee anymore, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. I partnered with somebody who's really good in the coffee world, and
it's amazing.
He's a small business. I'm crazy about small businesses.
Yeah, me too. I love it. And that's why we're talking, because we have that in common.
Yeah.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
In a world obsessed with leadership, what if the real key to success is followership? We hear it all the time. Be a leader, take charge. But what if the most impactful people aren't the ones leading from the front? In Humble Influence, I explore how humility, collaboration, and shared purpose empower followers to create meaningful change in business, organizations, and relationships. Discover the strength of true followership with Humble Influence.
Nate, this is awesome, man. You're doing great. You feeling good?
I'm feeling.
Jimmy?
I've done so many lives and I'm just in the zone.
You're in the zone. Okay, we're gonna keep rolling then. This is awesome. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Nate Petroski. Nate is the founder of NarrowWay Homestead. He's a homesteader in Rowan County, West Virginia, which I just love. Nate's story. I've been a big fan and a follower since 2020 when he first started. It's great to have him here in the studio in Morgantown. Nate, where are your followers coming from? Do you hear from, are they people in West Virginia? Are they outside? Are they in the U.S.? Are they outside of the U.S.? Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, living on a mountain, just kind of isolated for the most part, you don't really think about that until you start going out. And I went out and I was like, wow, there's like a lot of local people, because people come up to me and say hi all the time in my local town. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going out to Washington State, first time going there. It's a beautiful place, by the way. And I'm in the Pacific Northwest, like way up, and I'm climbing up this mountain just to see the sights, right?
Yeah.
And I get up there and I'm like, who's talking? And I hear myself on some other guy's phone. He's watching YouTube and me. And I'm like, what? And that was one of the times it really dawned on me that, like, when people say, oh, I'm from out west, I follow you, I've got lots of friends, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like, until you like go out west, climb a mountain and find some guy watching your videos, then it kind of snaps and it's like, oh,
that's surreal.
Wow, it's surreal.
It's surreal. What a world we live in, right? In 2026.
Yeah.
The stuff, like, I mean, it's just mind blowing, honestly.
It really
like,
is.
We have the ability to in many cases, live stream our life. Mm-hmm. And people want to see that, and they want to watch it, because first of all, I think you're a real dude. You're authentic, and you have a great personality, and I just love the way you tell stories. I mean, I built a business around storytelling through marketing, but you're an authentic, real time storyteller, like the real deal.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
I think that's so cool. With all the experience you've gained as a homesteader, what's one of the things that's been probably the most challenging for you?
Probably just having to be an expert at everything when you really can't. So you kind of fake it. You got to be really good, at least in my case, with animals, with dog training, with knowing how a rainwater collection tank works and how the settling works and how the different layers work. At the same time, I've got a garbage can as my first flush diverters. I brought that from Pennsylvania. It was garbage, right? I cut it and built my own first flush diverter. It's still on that system. It's been on there for 6 years because it keeps working and doesn't break. And
Wow.
and so it's just having to like know how to maintain and build all these unique things, and you don't really. So you kind of fake it.
Yeah.
You know, well, let me put this together and see if that works. And then if it works, cool. If not, well, fortunately, most of my things work because of my construction experience.
Yeah.
I kind of understand it.
Yeah, and I think you were properly equipped with all the experience. I mentioned that a few minutes ago, and I think of myself. I mean, I would love to be able to have the lifestyle even for a week. Just to see if I can do it. I don't know that I could. I don't know if I can make it a week, but you've been doing it for years now.
I have.
And you basically just lean on yourself. Now you have some other stars on the channels that you're on there. Jen, your girlfriend for the last couple of years, and Minion. Who are some of the other supporting casts that you have?
Well, I've got Minion's arch nemesis, Dagger, who's a cat and tries to steal his bed all the time.
That's right.
And I've got Aslan, a livestock guardian dog. He's a Turkish Boz Shepherd, 185 pounds, and he's not fat. He's just
muscular,
huge.
Yeah.
And Aria is a Turkish Boz puppy, and she's 7 months old right now. And she's about 90 pounds.
Yeah. All right. So, getting back to kind of like the business side of this with content production, how does that flow now? Like, you're not shooting it on an old broken down Android anymore.
No, absolutely not. I'm shooting it on an iPhone, but other than that, the style's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Still just use a phone. Sometimes I'll use two so I can put one in a tripod somewhere. I got a little more professional.
Yeah.
But I've also changed to having an editor now to edit all my content, and having an in-house employee to post and figure out the hashtags and all that, because ultimately I wanted to homestead. At the same time, I love business. So just kind of in an entrepreneurial spirit, I'm like, how can I just keep freeing up my time and delegate some of this other stuff on top of providing jobs, because that just gives me tremendous satisfaction.
It's awesome.
And so, it's been expanding, and I've been able to figure something out to have a system.
I think it's amazing. I think of, this lifestyle. I'm calling it a lifestyle, but when I think of homesteading, I think that's what it is. It's like you got to be really passionate about wanting to live this way, and
you do.
And it is freeing. Like you said, you don't have any neighbors 8 feet away. You don't hear honking horns in the middle of the night and all that kind of stuff. What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about homesteading? What do you think is the perception out there?
I think there's probably two. One is all these people you see homesteading that have clean fingernails, and check it out, I've been working today. I still got dirty fingernails. So you've got all these people with clean fingernails, white clothing, everything's spot free, and there might be some people at like the very end stages where everything's built and they've hired people to but most of that's fake. And so there's this illusion that you wake up every day and the sun is shining. At the same time, there's a rainbow, but it never rains. Like they've got this picture. And then the other side of it is all you're doing is living in a pile of random 2x4s with a tarp over your head, and you just stay there forever. And neither of those are accurate perceptions. It's usually somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
We talked about the beginnings of NarrowWay Homestead and the trailer and the first outhouse. Now, bring us up to 2026. Where are you today? Tell us about some of the improvements and maybe some of the things you're really happy about.
So I did finally build an outhouse that's much closer. And I ended up doing it in such a way that the pit's ventilated as well as sealed. And because I have solar, I have this little fan that keeps a constant vacuum in the pit. So it always pulls air down from the pit and ejects it out over the roof. So you never smell anything in there. So I'm really proud of that. Yeah. The solar, I've basically built a garage and put solar on it. And now I've got an inside space, because that was something that was really lacking. Was just inside storage space. Tarps and totes don't last forever outside, and it's a pain to open up and get into. Yeah,
especially in the inclement weather and the harsh winters in West Virginia.
And you're disorganized. And that original storage shed I built was about 600 square feet. I converted 300 square feet of it into a living space. So I'm kind of in a tiny home, but the outside looks bigger. The other side's still storage.
Yeah. It's very nice inside.
It is.
It is very nice.
I wanted it to kind of feel like you're just in a modern, normal house, although small.
Yeah.
You know, just modern. You can turn on light switches. Actually, I have a smart device that I just tell to turn on the lights.
That's so cool.
But I'm off grid, and everything's way out. The faucet. You have no idea that comes from rainwater, and so it feels very almost. You could feel like you're in the city if you don't look out the window and see the view.
Well, talk about that, like the conveniences of that. Being able to turn a switch on and be able to turn the faucet on and water comes out. And you talked a little bit about the rainwater collection system. It's got to be pretty cool knowing that you don't have a bunch of bills coming from utility companies.
Oh, man,
how cool is that?
That's so cool, because it's been 6 years since I've paid an electric bill or a water bill or a sewer bill or gas bill.
That's
like
awesome.
None of that exists. And so on top of making money, living so frugally, like I never really decided, I should just get a lot more monthly bills now because I make money. Why would I do that? And I don't even know how I would do that, honestly. So I just don't.
Yeah. All right. So I have so many questions. I'm trying to make sure that I ask the most important ones for our audience. But, living this lifestyle and building a homestead like you have, it's freeing. It's like
it is.
It's enjoyable for you. What's the long-term plan? Like, do you see yourself being here forever?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, and I kind of have retirement in mind as I'm building everything and feeling free, but at the same time, like, I'm going to get older one day, not today, but, another day.
Yeah, sometime down the road.
So, I incorporate technology as much as possible to make life easier because I absolutely still want to burn firewood when I'm 80 years old and when I'm old. And so even with my house, which is the next big project and almost the final big project, because I don't want to go endlessly, I want to build a house in such a way where I can burn 1 to 2 cords of wood a year, so well insulated. I may only heat part of it in the winter time, but the goal is to stay there and use a hybrid of technology and yet really old school methods to try to make it something that a person or 2 people could live in and function and not be like, this is overwhelming, I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to avoid, is the, oh gosh, I can't take care of this place anymore. I want to just be able to, even if I'm just in a corner of a room with the wood stove, it's like, things are going today. It might take me an hour to make coffee because I got a gimpy leg and I'm hobbling over to it. But you know what? I already built everything, so I've got nothing else to do.
That's so cool. I love the vision, man. that is incredible. So what's the best thing that has come of this whole movement that you've had over the last 6 years or so? Like, what's the best thing that you think was the outcome of this lifestyle?
I think really just freedom to go outside and just, I'm alone if I want to be, but if I pick up my phone, I've got apparently millions of people interested. I can go over to the neighbor's house and just hang out, or I don't want to see people today, which is a lot of days. Then I just, don't.
Yeah, do your thing.
And I just do my thing and just feel like I have a choice in what happens. If I want to build something, I'm not calling up the township and applying for permits and getting inspectors out.
That's
this
great.
And that, and they tell me yes and no, and well, sure, as long as you pay this. Like, none of that. I want to build something, I just go build it.
Yeah, that's incredible. What about the downside?
A downside, when you wake up and you're like, I don't really want to do anything today. And that's another thing that's kind of an illusion. People are like, well, you're in the middle of the woods. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to work. It's like, yeah, but I've got a gazillion ducks, a bunch of rabbits. I've got dogs that need this and that. I have some unfinished project that I must finish before it starts raining or stops raining, depending what the project is.
Or snowing.
My water system may freeze up if I forget to remove the drain plug from the one pipe, which I did this winter, and I got to replace that.
Do you have like a standard operating morning? Like here's the 5 things I got to do every morning, or is it that structured? Or
it kind of is. I'm a very structured person. I don't know if I do it intentionally, but I almost plan out my day in 15-minute increments. Yeah. And I must have X things accomplished before this time comes, and this and this. And that's how I can really go through, because I've taken on a lot on top of still trying to build the homestead as well as operate it.
Yeah.
it could be overwhelming, but I'm a very structured person when it comes to...
And you've got a business.
I do.
Or businesses, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how do you flow the content creation into that? Is it intentional as well? Or how many days are you putting content together? Or is it just on a whim, or is it very intentional?
It's sometimes intentional, but most of the time I focus on what I have to do. And this will be the content today. If people don't want to watch it, then they won't. But, you know, if I have to do a water system in the next couple of weeks, then that will be the video content that people have to watch. If I've got dog training to do, then that'll be the content they have to watch. And so I pretty much live my life and film it, and blows my mind that, like, stuff I think people aren't going to be interested in that. Well, people are crazily interested in stuff I thought they wouldn't be.
Why do you think that is?
I think because it's just so unique and so different from what their normal life is, that, you know, I'm doing something that just they'd never in their life ever do, because why would they need to, you know?
Yeah. Why would somebody want to live like that?
That's right. That's right.
An outhouse. Seriously, I think it's cool.
I'll tell you what, I dread every time I have to go into a town or a city and I have to use anything but the outhouse, because out in the woods, my stuff doesn't stink.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool.
I go anywhere else, shit does.
So, you know, you mentioned technology. Do you have internet where you're at then, or is it cell phone or at cell towers, or what is it?
So basically, I kind of put together, this when I started the social media, it was before Starlink was available in West Virginia. And so I ended up kind of hodgepodging together something that would receive internet over 4G and mounting it way up in a tree and then on a 2x4 tower and like all these places to try to get a signal. Managed to do it. Eventually, the guy that helped me do that started a company, and I'm now part owner in that company. Amazing. It's a really cool, it's an InvisiGig. It's just simple, fast internet. You add your own Wi-Fi to it, but it's, I'm just passionate about businesses.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that, but that I appreciate it. What's it called again?
InvisiGig.
Where are they based out of?
They are based out of, I'm not actually sure where the company itself is, because they're all located in different places. The one guy's out in Montana, the other guy's in Pennsylvania.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's very cool. You know, so technology plays a part in your livelihood. You're a homesteader, but you're getting the message out across all these digital platforms. It's kind of a juxtaposition of, you know, technology and old way of living.
And another thing that's really unique is robot lawnmowers. I've despised cutting grass. If you watch my early videos, all I did was cut paths through fields to walk. Right. And I ended up getting a robot lawnmower to do everything, and he ended up going viral on social media. His name was Hank the Tank, and he went crazy, but that was really cool for the social media side. But the other side was, I can finally cut my own grass, and not really, because you go do it.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, we like to talk a lot about leadership here on the podcast, and I'm going to ask you a question around leadership, because I look at what you're doing, and you are a leader here in West Virginia for sure. I'm personally, and I can speak for a lot of West Virginians, we're glad to have you here as a West Virginian now. Moving here from Pennsylvania, I too was born in Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh area. Cool. So I like to say I got here as fast as I could as well. So, but the thing is, you're a leader. You're leading your tribe, right? With social media, you're leading yourself. You're leading Jen and all these animals you have. What do you think is a trait, Nate, that you think is important in terms of leadership in business today?
Actually, I think you have to have the respect of people, animals too. I mean, you have to have the respect, and one of the best ways to do that is to get your hands dirty too. Like, you got to work alongside, no matter, if you get a company that's real big, like you can hardly, but even if you were in a big corporation, like, go work the floor for a while, right? Work alongside your guys,
Yes.
I think you being able to do it and being willing to do it just inspires the people around you.
I love it. Now, for people out there that may be listening to the story and saying, wow, Nate, I followed him as well, or maybe they're first time that being exposed to Nate Petroski and NarrowWay Homestead.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of advice would you give to somebody thinking about homesteading or starting a business where you're putting yourself out there 24/7, live streaming, and you're live a lot on YouTube, and just putting yourself out there in social media? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would probably tell them social media is definitely a really rough place in some ways. You got to be confident and thick-skinned and realize that a lot of people aren't going to like you, and just be okay with that. And then just being willing to just be consistent and push and endure and work harder than anyone else to get what you want.
That's
and
great.
Make
Great
sure
advice.
getting what you want is something, because you'll burn out in the goal. And so if you want to get what you want, make sure it includes helping people along the way, which is another reason for the social media. Is I want to be very transparent about the whole process and how much work it is, because I don't want to tell a bunch of people, hey, go start homesteading. It's going to be 3 to 4 hours a day, and then you're just kind of chilling and watching waterfalls, and it's not how it is. You're going to wake up one day, I got a headache, doesn't matter, animals still need food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot of responsibility. You mentioned
is.
Respect, but it's also responsibility.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's cool. I really appreciate that advice. I'm thinking you had mentioned a couple of your videos went viral. What's the video, or maybe a couple of that went viral, and how many views did they get?
Probably my most viral video was a short form video of Minion being on a 4-wheeler in a box, and I was driving through the snow, and he's wearing his winter coat and everything, and that one got like 20 million views or something.
Isn't that crazy?
I ended up repeating that a number of times, just multiple millions of views. Hank the Tank, the lawnmower, that thing went viral for a long time, and actually led TikTok on like live gifts and stuff in certain categories, and I wasn't even there. I just strapped the phone to the mower and said bye.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And then just starting homesteading during COVID, and just saying, hi, my name's Nate, this is what I'm doing. I went, I absolutely just jumped with both feet first. But I'm an all or nothing kind of person. It's my personality. So
when you hit that record button or live button, do you ever think like, what am I doing here? Like, what's going on? Is this real?
I do sometimes think that, and then I just pretend that I'm talking to like a friend that's never seen my homestead or knows what I'm doing. Yeah. And then I just
tell a story.
Tell a story.
Because we've talked a little bit about your storytelling ability. What do you think's the key to telling an effective story?
I think being passionate about whatever it is. So me being passionate about animals and telling the stories about Minion, for example. I think just being real passionate about it and being complete, but don't be too long-winded. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets moving here to West Virginia?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah. But you're an advocate for West Virginia. You're a cheerleader for West Virginia.
I am.
You mentioned West Virginia a lot in your videos.
I have, yeah. I really like it. In my mind, I call it the Wild Wild East. And nobody knows about it because everybody's, just kind of seems to sort of skim around from an outside perspective. They think it's it's the western part of Virginia and all this stuff. It's like, no, this is its own place. And the people here, they live a lifestyle, a lot of them out in the country, they live a lifestyle that's not that much different than mine. And it's
absolutely,
it's very, it's a very unique place, and people are friendly in here. I just love it.
Love it. Nate, we've covered a lot in this interview. First of all, I appreciate you driving up here from Roane County, not Spencer, but Roane County.
Yeah.
Bringing Minion. It's a pleasure to meet him and just have you guys here. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about your story personally, or what you're doing with NarrowWay Homestead?
Probably just watch the whole story. Like if you watch the earlier videos and watch the destination, I think it's important to realize how rough and how difficult it was to start rubbing my clothes on rocks in a creek all the way until even where I am now. I've got machines cutting my grass automatically.
And a washer and dryer.
And a washer
slash dryer.
Yeah. I've got modern amenities, and one of the things I said in one of my early videos is I wanted to be off grid and do cheap, luxurious living. And that doesn't seem to make any sense. Cheap yet luxurious, those words seem to be at odds. Well, I've made it my life's goal to not make those at odds.
Yeah,
and
you're doing
able
it.
To do both. I am.
You're an inspiration, honestly, and it kind of living vicariously through you, I think, is what your videos enable us to do.
So.
Is to be able to kind of imagine, like we were talking about earlier, just being. I don't think I could do it for a week, but I can watch a video of you doing it and say, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think I can, but I'm kind of weak in that regard. I'd say, I do like my amenities, but by the same token, you've got some great ones that you've built.
I think so, and
you know how to do it. Nate, I think. First of all, it's been a pleasure to have you here, to meet you in person. How can our listeners learn more about your story, find you on social media? Maybe give us a couple of ways that they can find you.
Yeah, you can find the products at NarrowWayHomestead.com, or you can look up NarrowWay Homestead on YouTube or Nate Petroski on YouTube, as well as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And if you want to find Minion, who has apparently gone to sleep, he is the one and only Minion on TikTok, and on every other platform. That's he is on with my videos.
That's amazing. You mentioned the products. What are some of the products that you're best known for?
Probably the beard care, as well as the coffee, which I talked on a little bit.
Yeah.
But the beard care, the beard butter, and the beard oils.
Cool. Yeah. We'll make sure we have links to all that in the show notes, as well as on social media, and making sure that we're driving folks to Nate Petroski and NarrowWay Homestead. Nate, again, it's been an honor to have you on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
I think what you're doing is amazing. I just want to encourage you to keep up the great work. You're an excellent representative for West Virginia and the homesteading lifestyle, and we just love seeing Minion here in the studio too, so thanks for bringing him along. Absolutely. Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, sharing these episodes of those like Nate Petroski and NarrowWay Homestead. It helps him, even though he's got millions and millions of followers. Make sure you're following along with his story. And it also helps Positively West Virginia and getting these positive business and people stories out that are happening all across the state of West Virginia. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray, who has a YouTube and TikTok video that's viral himself. You have to look up Jimmy on TikTok for sure. I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Humble Influence, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.